Hi, everybody. It is November 2024. Yeah, more weather destruction. And something that I was very surprised about, and I'll tell you when I get to it. Yeah. And I am feeling like I am so sick of all of the spraying. I'm so sick of just being subjected to somebody else's evil that they're rolling out, making me sick. Look, a whole lot of people have allergies now, right? When a whole lot of people did not too long ago. And recently I've been getting, it feels like it's not a sinus infection, but, around the sinuses and kind of a headache, but feeling really oddly exhausted and not being able to think clearly. And it's not me, it's the frequencies. It's all of the crap that they're putting in the atmosphere that we are breathing. My eyes feel it, my nose feels it, my throat feels it, and I am just done. I'm so, well, what does it mean to be done? If we can't get these agendas stopped, that climate change, geoengineering, then it doesn't matter what else goes on. It's making an awful lot of people very sick. Okay, so let me just say hello to you guys. Andrew Cruz, an analog synth player, and Angelos, hello. Geofactor 3, Alicia DeMoss, Julio, hi. Tony Punch, Rowan Pinette, hi. Barb in Ohio, Tony Punch, I said hello. Tom, Rage Against the Machine, James B, Space Indian, Louisiana Skywatch, Patricia White, and BMCC. Did I say that? Well, if I did, hello again. Ain't Buying It, Denise Martinez, an eruption in Iceland. Okay. I'm thinking volcano. And is it in the area, which I can't remember the town name, but they had evacuated everybody in that town. I don't know if they've ever gotten back, but if this eruption, well, they're probably never going to get back to their homes. How great. Jane Northrup, hello. Yeah, this Silent Walk, Oracle 11. Rex Godwin, Joni, Darlin Dar, Genesis, hi. Yeah, it is a flipping crazy world. It's gets a little much. Radar. Here we go. Down. Are you seeing something that, well, shouldn't be there? Like these frequencies. Let's do it a little slower. But pretty much the entire, everything that you're seeing on radar, it shouldn't be here. Like these frequencies for sure. We've got a Christmas tree in New Mexico. Got a really strong, very powerful blast out of Utah, I think, through to Nevada. You've got the extremely low frequencies here in Southern California as well. You have these air masses, the jet stream, that they're just ripping apart. Here, I guess we're going to go around in circles. What are we doing here? All right. And they are, and they have been all day, making sure the precipitation goes no further than the border of Nevada. They have been holding in Northern California all of this rain, holding it. It has not moved beyond. You can see the frequencies, which are very clear. All of the extremely low frequencies, but there were a lot more frequencies earlier today. Okay, so do you see how this is? It's literally being evaporated right at the border. Wow. That's quite a defined evaporation for sure. Right here. All righty then. Well, for those who have open minds, yes, they could take it in and say, well, that's a little strange, right? At the very least, let me show you earlier. Which one? Okay, let's go down here. Here. There goes my computer again. And we're going to take it from this morning, 8:42. All of these frequencies, all of the very defined lines, okay, extremely low frequencies, and extremely low frequencies are used to modify, to steer, to intensify weather fronts. Do you see how it's not going any further? Right here. This is at 8:32 my time. And I'm not sure Idaho Mountain Time. So it would be 7:32 in California. Early morning, right? Okay. This is at 12 noontime. As you can see. Still holding it there. It's not going any further. Look at this right-angled cutout, extremely low frequencies. And yeah, it's bizarre. Look how this air mass is going up north. This is coming down south. This is going out east. This is not the way Mother Nature ever worked, ever. So you can see the frequencies in this cloud mass, all of the ripples down here, the microwaves, the ripples right here on the border of Nevada. This cloud can produce rain. We ain't producing any rain in Nevada. And you can see all of the ripples right off the coast, right here. So, weather destruction continues. And you just can't get through to people, which is really sad. And frustrating. Maddening. Here we go. Noontime. All of the extremely low frequencies right here, and here, and here, And we ain't moving. We ain't budging into Nevada. We're hanging out in California and continuing on to 4 o'clock. Still holding it steady. Gee, one would think that they want to flood you out, Northern California. And here we have these frequencies coming into Idaho, and look at how defined it is. It's not going anywhere. We are holding it in place, and that's what man can do with the electromagnetic frequencies. It's insane. It is insane that we have to live this. And you can see the, where does it start? Look at these frequencies. Gee, do you think that these frequencies might have an effect on the atmosphere? Oh, atmospheric river. Maybe they have an effect on the atmospheric weather that is literally holding it in a very defined spot. Wow. Are you tired of this? You tired of not being able to get through to anybody? Look at how defined this so-called weather front is. Yeah. Well, this is College of DuPage. Right now, current. So you have an extremely low frequency here. You have extremely low frequencies over here. You've got extremely low frequencies over here and extremely low frequency right here. And wow, very powerful, extremely powerful, coming right into Idaho, Utah. It's coming out of Utah into Nevada, into Idaho. The range of extremely low frequencies is like 300 miles. So that can cause an awful lot of adverse effects, whether it's in the two-legged, four-legged, in the atmosphere, and we're all experiencing it. All right, so one active severe weather warning, which was a tornado warning for Grays Harbor, Washington. Be very careful near Tokeland, 11 miles south of Westport, Grays Harbor, Washington. So, do we have any of the Northwesterners in the chat? Can you tell me what's going on? I will put the link in to both radar sites. Oops. As well, the severe weather alert page. So yeah, quite a bit of destruction. Washington, Northern California, for And I saw this, two headlines that I don't even think I brought up. One was in the Pacific Northwest, a hurricane. The next one was the Northeast, all of the wildfires. Is this the era of wildfires for the Northeast? Things certainly have changed, right? People need to question those changes. All right. Windstorm damage in Western Washington.
And this storm did far more damage in Western Washington, where more than 500,000 people lost power during some really powerful winds. So the storm was one of the strongest to hit Washington in decades. The winds toppled trees and snapped power lines. Power companies have warned that it will take days to get everyone back online. Many homes were also damaged or destroyed by the wind and trees. At least 2 people died during the storm. Drew Andre reports on one of those deaths that happened in Bellevue.
We're here in the Bridal Trails neighborhood, and everywhere you drive around, there is debris on the ground, and we've seen a number of trees that have come down from the wind. Look at this one behind us here, right next to this little park. So you can see the root of the tree there, and just that soft.
You can see the root. Is it one root? Yeah, one root. Okay.
The root of the tree there, and just that soft soil, and it's a pretty big tree that you have that just is draped over this street, which has blocked this street. But it's not the only one. Right across the street here, an even bigger tree. I mean, look how tall this root is.
Is it the root? Really? These are the roots. These trees, I'm going to say it again. Go outside, look around your property. Is there a tree nearby? If you have the resources, take it down. Trees are toppling over all over the place, and we know why. All of that fabulous spraying up in the atmosphere, it doesn't, those nanoparticulates, aluminum especially, doesn't just stay up there. It comes on down into the root systems of trees and weakens their immune system. Oh, a weak tree, a little bit of wind, boom, down on your house, on your car. Yeah.
And it took out the mailbox right here. This is someone's front yard that you're looking at here. Now, this isn't the only example, though. Of course, there was a tragic situation also in Bridal Trails in this neighborhood. Last night around 7 o'clock, Bellevue Fire reported that there was a large tree that went down right onto that home, and a woman was killed. Bellevue Fire says that at the time she was in the shower. Her husband then called 911. He was rescued out of there, but again, one person did die there. And back out here, you can see just another example of a tree down in the street here as people this morning had to deal with this as they woke up. And of course,
all right, so the last number I heard, but I think they have restored much of the power. 600,000 were without power, and it looks like a lot of trees came down, a lot of tree damage because of the winds, right? Chaos in Vancouver and Washington. I haven't seen much for BC. In fact, I didn't even really see much. I'm sorry. That fan of mine, the computer fan, you might not hear it, but I do. And it's very distracting. No, there wasn't much. So much of the broadcasts were just focused on the meteorologists talking about what was going to be coming, what had come, but here I want to just thank all of these people who have these channels. No, they don't talk about weather modification or geoengineering. but they do put together a compilation of what took place with these weather events that we are having to live, and a whole lot of people are having to suffer.
A once-in-a-decade bomb cyclone is sweeping through the northwest United States and parts of Canada early Wednesday, leaving at least one person dead and hundreds of thousands without power across Washington state, California, and British Columbia. In Seattle and neighboring cities, strong winds are tumbling trees, with some falling on houses and placing lives at risk. In Linwood, north of Seattle, a woman in her 50s was killed when a large tree fell on a homeless encampment shortly after 7 p.m., South County Fire Department. Thousands of people across western Washington were without power Tuesday night as a bomb cyclone brought strong winds to the region. The National Weather Service issued a high wind warning for the Washington coast, the East Puget Sound lowlands, and areas near Bellevue through early Wednesday morning. The warning was expanded to include the Seattle and Everett areas Tuesday night. Winds between 30 to 40 miles per hour were possible, with gusts up to 65 miles per hour expected. Areas closer to the Puget Sound shoreline were under a less severe wind advisory Tuesday evening through early Wednesday morning, with gusts up to 50 miles per hour expected. As of 11:02 p.m. Tuesday, at least outages were reported across western Washington.
No.
At 7:41 p.m., PSE posted on X that its website's outage map was experiencing issues, and they were working to resolve the issue. The NWS tweeted just after 7 p.m. that wind gusts of 77 miles per hour were reported at Sunrise at Mount Rainier, 74 miles per hour gusts were reported in Enumclaw, 57 miles per hour gusts in Federal Way, and 55 miles per hour gusts at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. At 8:29 p.m., Sound Transit posted on X that they were experiencing significant delays on the 1 line due to the weather. They also noted they're experiencing outages at some 2 line stations.
I'm sorry. I did it again. At least you'll know I'm talking. Sometimes I just really get so tired of myself. All I was saying was the snow is all right. When you see these trucks and you see these semi-trailer trucks and the four-wheel drive vehicles unable to move through like an inch of snow, you know that they're spraying something up there and it's coming down in that snow, making the ground very slippery. Because, an inch of snow should not be stopping these trucks. But here, just a little bit more before we get to the snow, 2 people have died. Okay? 2 people have died. I just. Yeah, a whole lot are having to be displaced again and again and again. It's not just from the storm. More homes exploded, more home fires, more apartment complex fires. Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
I'm gonna mention the cards because I can't see them anywhere, obviously.
Ah. So we have seen this over and over again, and that's why I really stress if there are trees around your home that could cause this kind of damage, and you have, unfortunately, it's very expensive to take down trees, but if you have those resources, I would recommend doing that. This is in Sammamish. Is that how you pronounce it in Washington? So you can bet that there's a lot of roads that look like this up and down, the coast, California, BC, also Washington, Oregon. And here, the snow. Now, if any of you remember that snow, that was 2 years ago up in the mountains in California, where people were literally unable to get out of their homes. Remember that snowfall? I hope they don't have to experience that again. But weed, California, I can't play this. It's Live Storms Media. But if you watch, they closed down Interstate 5. And I'll post the link, but you'll see these trucks can't handle. Trucks can't handle even just a small amount of snow now. I can't play it because I'll get a copyright strike. But you'll see a lot of these trucks, they try to move, but they can't. So this truck as well. This is not a lot of snow for a truck like this. You couldn't go to work today? Where are you? Feminine. Where are you? I know you live, are you Northern California? Okay. This surprised me. Great Barrington, Massachusetts, where I lived and launched from Great Barrington, Massachusetts into a friggin' nightmare of my own. Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Okie dokie. Wildfire.
Well, if you've been smelling smoke or have even seen it yesterday and today, probably has something to do with the wildfire that's burning in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. It's been called the Butternut Fire. Right now, it's just under 1,100 acres, and crews are still working to put out those flames tonight. Fox 61's Deshaun Robinson has more about how a fire burning in a different state could impact your health here in Connecticut.
Great Barrington is very close to the border of Connecticut and New York, so okay, Great Barrington. Boy, it's hard when you can't, talk to anyone that knows, and you can kind of have the same experience. It's very hard. Just, yeah. But my God. All right. Well, this is where I used to live. And it's amazing. Massachusetts apparently is having a lot of fires, wildfires, brush fires. Oh, New York, Manhattan, Connecticut, New Hampshire. Northeast wildfire outbreaks. Now, the first part of this is the wildfire, brush fire, upper Manhattan. All right.
And Massachusetts officials say more than 600 fires have scorched a year's worth of acreage in less than 2 months. In New Hampshire, firefighters from multiple towns converging on a fire in Brentwood. And right around dinner time, east of Philadelphia in Hainesport, New Jersey, terrified families could only watch as these flames got dangerously close.
You hear about fire danger everywhere, but you never think it's going to come to your neighborhood or your town.
And David, you see the major response here from the FDNY here in Upper Manhattan. There is some relief in the forecast Thursday with some rain.
This is like unprecedented. Should I use that word? Unprecedented. What's going on? So that they're actually the bombs, cyclone, hurricane, Washington's, Oregon, Northern California, wildfires. Are they deliberately being set? Are these the plasma fires that Jeff Snyder too speaks of? And I do think a lot of them are, because when you watch these broadcasts, you see the fire coming up. In fact, one of the fire officials in Great Barrington said that they were putting out the underground fires. Now that should beg questions, right? But it doesn't. Okay.
Dusk has settled over the Berkshires, and so has the smoke from a wildfire that has burned more than 1,000 acres.
The smoke from this growing wildfire has...
So last night it was 100 acres, and it grew to 1,120 acres overnight.
Spread to nearby communities. We saw the thick smoke over Pittsfield about an hour ago. That's 30 minutes north of Great Barrington, where this fire is burning right now.
It's called the Butternut Wildfire. It is spread beyond Great Barrington and into the neighboring town of Sheffield. Dan Levy is live in...
And also in Sheffield, Camp Eisner was where I walked. Well, I didn't walk. Camp Eisner was on the other side of the river where I used to walk my dogs. No, I'm sorry. People really do need to question these fires.
In Berkshire County, he's been there all day with what we know about the wildfire right now. Dan, do we have any idea of the cause of this fire yet?
Well, I asked that question to authorities today, and they tell me that's not their primary focus right now. Their primary focus, of course, is to put the fire out. And regarding the origin, what may have caused it, if any humans were involved, that comes later, perhaps. That comes later. But I will tell you this, the Sheffield, I thought there was a map with Sheffield on it. Another fire broke out in Sheffield. Are they going to claim that it was an ember from Great Barrington flying over? Sheffield is the next town over from Great Barrington. So far, no homes or structures are threatened, and no evacuations have been called for, but a state of emergency has been declared for a lot of towns in Massachusetts.
prudent to declare a state of emergency.
The towns of North Andover and Middleton both declaring states of emergency as more than 500 collective acres burn across those towns as firefighters enter more than 3 weeks of battling wildfires. The costs of overtime, lost equipment, and water adding up. So is the toll on firefighters.
It's been progressively getting longer and longer, longer days, longer hours. You're running out of personnel, so people are getting tired.
North Andover's deputy fire chief says it's been a labor-intensive battle. This particular fire in the Boxford State Forest putting homes at risk in difficult to access labor-intensive battle.
All right. I'm sorry. I just wanted to check out the burn marks.
This particular fire in the Boxford State Forest putting homes at risk and difficult to access, but luckily crews managed to contain it. He's hoping rain tomorrow helps extinguish the fires underground.
I've never prayed so hard for rain. I prefer snow.
Underground. Fires underground. Plasma fires. Okay. So, apartment fire. Oh, really? Another one? Dozens displaced. North Highlands apartment fire. And let me see. Oh, here. Okay. Yeah. California.
Fire happened in North Highlands at a neighborhood there. About 11:30 last night is when firefighters said they first got the call. Multiple units have been displaced now. Let's get over to CBS 13's Dave Grasshoff, who is at that scene. And now it is fenced off, Dave, but that video from overnight is just scary.
Yeah, pretty intense fire for sure, Dina. I'm just going to pan here. You can see some of the damage that has been done. You have construction crews out here that are boarding up these units here. Fire call came out around 11:20 last night and quickly spread to 3 alarms. 32 units were evacuated from 2 different buildings, 9 units with major damage. Sacramento fire crews faced some big obstacles. First, the wind was a big issue. And then secondly, you had a lot of people that were coming out of these units along with all the fire personnel in the small area. You also had some power lines that were down. So quite the chaotic scene. 2 people were transported and are in stable condition. 1 other self-transported. Here's more from Sac Metro Battalion Chief Parker Will.
Okay, so more people without a home. Another fire, Manhattan, Soho district. And what the hell is going on? Whole lot of buildings seem to be burning up. Yeah, in Manhattan. I don't know. You can only speculate, but arson, plasma, all of the incendiary, very incendiary nanoparticulates that they spray, comes down and coats everything. And then you have the electromagnetic frequencies. Jersey City apartment fire displaces 35 residents.
I was thinking about, what to do on a Wednesday, school day, and I wake up around like 5:40, and that's when panic just sets in, and I'm thinking the worst, thinking what's happening, like my worst nightmares.
16-year-old Abraham Lopez woke up to his mom frantically yelling and smoke filling the air.
There was so much smoke everywhere. It was dark in the hallway. There was no lights.
The Lincoln High School student, his family, and 2 cats all made it out okay. but they're among 35 people in this Jersey City apartment building searching for a place to live, almost a week out from Thanksgiving.
You normally
Almost a week out from Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow. It is tomorrow, right? The third Thursday of November. Am I right? I've the holidays are just something that other people celebrate. It's the 28th. You're kidding. Thanksgiving was always the third Thursday. So 1, 2, 3. How does that work? It's next Thursday. So it's the fourth Thursday? Now it's the fourth? Yeah, you remember it always being the third. Okay. Who made that change? Wow, man. Okay. All right. A week out. Yeah. So look at how many people are losing their homes on a daily basis, right? So you got the weather doing it to an awful lot of people. You have these fires that not a lot of people are talking about, but wow, are there a lot of them every day? How about home explosions? Oh, here's another fire. Henderson, Nevada.
All right, some breaking news now. Henderson Fire is investigating an early morning house fire that left 3 people without a home right now.
Our Mike Allen is live at the scene near Valley Verde and Warm Springs with the latest. Good morning, Mike.
Yes, owners were asleep when the fire started. I was talking with a neighbor who also said there were some pets inside, and the contractor told me the same thing. And
I don't even want to hear if those pets died. But how about home explosions? Another one, Ohio.
Begin today with breaking news. Take a look behind me. A deadly explosion and fire this morning at a home in Claremont County. Local 12 News reporter Morella Porter is joining us live from Tate Township. Morella, what can you tell us?
Good afternoon, Jen. At this point, we now know that 2 people are confirmed to have died in this home explosion, and 1 person was transported to the hospital. Stepping out of the way, you can kind of see there are plenty of crews still out here working this scene. We're told that that home exploded right around 8:45 this morning. Neighbors heard a very loud boom. It soon was followed by flames that were coming from that home, which is absolutely leveled.
All right, so are you getting, those of you who have come into the live, how many homes and apartments are just going up in flames or exploding? I mean, something else is happening, all right? Could it be the electronics that we now have? Could it be, so an apartment, you have a phone, and that phone just catches on fire? Very difficult to put out these fires. It's very difficult because of the aluminum nanoparticulates, but also because of everybody having these lithium battery devices that are very difficult to put out. So, and how about RVs exploding?
I mean, you can see for yourself just in those visuals, a huge explosion there. Now, that truck driver tells me this encounter this morning was unlike anything he's ever experienced on the road, something he hopes no one else ever has to go through. a wake-up call like no other.
Being a truck driver, you see all kinds of things, but this is definitely a first.
Early Tuesday morning, a truck driver was parked in the Blue Mountain Service Plaza in Cumberland County and was fast asleep in a sleeper when the RV next to him exploded around 4:30.
Just heard a loud bang, glass showered all over my face, peeked out the curtain, and the RV that was next to me just wasn't there.
The driver, who prefers his name not be used, says he's been pulling his window's glass out of his hair all evening, but is otherwise okay.
My head was right up against the sleeper where the explosion happened. So the window that you see on the side of the sleeper of the semi truck next to the camper, yeah, my head was just 3-4 inches away from that.
Why is everything exploding? Homes, cars, trucks, RVs. Ohio. Well, what else is going on in Ohio? Oh, people are getting denied FEMA assistance in Ohio. Guess what? From Hurricane Helene.
Scioto County was one of 4 southeastern Ohio counties impacted by Hurricane Helene. When you add up the total damage from these 4 counties, the threshold for individual assistance was not met. Today, this area of High Street in Portsmouth looks like a regular city street, but that was not the case here nearly 6 weeks ago. Floodwaters from Hurricane Helene were 10 feet deep in spots, leaving a path of destruction in homes along the street. To get FEMA assistance, there had to be $23 million in damage, and the total damage for all 4 counties was a little more than $2 million.
We had many people in the city of Portsmouth and in New Boston that had 5 foot of water in their basement. But since that did not get into their living space, that was quantified as minor damage.
Those living along this street never imagined they would need flood insurance. Many just have homeowners insurance.
Now they're just basically left out holding the bag. They'll have to come up with some way to fix these things on their own.
And how many people do you think have money to fix it on their own? And why do they come up with these rules? If there's a little bit of damage, just help them out. Hey, but no.
It doesn't do me any good to be all upset about it. Yeah, I'm very disappointed.
James Roberts estimates he lost about $5,000 from the flooding. Most of the damage was in his basement. A new furnace was one of his major unexpected expenses. He says he worked out a payment plan with a business to make it easier on his finances.
I searched every avenue that I could possibly, and a lot of them, were very sympathetic to my situation, but even one that said even what I got on Social Security was actually too much to even qualify.
Officials say Scioto County.
No help for you because the damage is not that great. Oh, but when you have great damage, sorry, no help for you. Long Island, FEMA denied assistance.
Devastating summer storms destroyed their homes in Suffolk County. The most damage occurred in Brookhaven, Smithtown, and Huntington. And now FEMA is denying those Long Island homeowners' request for help. Jennifer McLogan has been in touch with these families since the August storms, and today she returned to the area to check in on them.
Ron Borghese and Hui Yan fled their historic home on Harbor Road as the Stony Brook Dam collapsed that August 19th night.
The house is completely condemned.
Their bedroom, den, and porch toppled down 50 feet into the pond and were swept away.
Denied our claim and had zero communication. They were here to collect the premium, though.
Borghese and Yan say it was bad enough their homeowners insurance was denied, but now FEMA has said no to homeowners assistance, claiming the number of Suffolk houses damaged doesn't meet the threshold for recovery resources.
How is it that FEMA can say there's not enough devastation?
This is a side view about where we're going to walk in.
Michael Krauth and his Center Reach neighbors are paying out of pocket and fear they will never be reimbursed.
Remember now, this was 9 feet of water up to my floorboards. We're 90 days out, and electrical panels still have to be replaced. Wiring still has to be done. People across the street living in trailers.
Deirdre McCool spent weeks filling out forms for tens of thousands of dollars, only to learn FEMA requests may never be accepted.
They know I'm in the direct area that got hit.
And in these extraordinary circumstances, these are the people who should be helped, because they would never think to have flood insurance, so they're not anywhere near the water.
The governor, who applied for a major disaster declaration for homeowners back in September, has 30 days to appeal the denial, according to FEMA. The governor says she will appeal.
We still pay the mortgage, but we don't have place for live. We live in a hotel.
How do we even begin to rebuild?
10 inches of rain fell in that monsoon. Recovery could be years away. On Long Island, Jennifer McLogan, CBS News.
And knowing these areas, Long Island, Stony Brook and Huntington and Suffolk County, you're talking about a lot of very expensive homes and stores and everything. So again, it doesn't meet the threshold. Do you see how you cannot count on their home insurance? Wouldn't even cover. Their house has been condemned. They can't live there. Denied assistance right across the board. So think about what you would do if you're in this situation, because don't do that thinking, oh, what a shame, but it's never going to happen to me. No. And the rules that government come up with, the new rules, this 50% rule of FEMA's now, making it very costly for people to rebuild, and not a lot of people have the money. All right.
Well, change is on the way for St. Pete Beach residents. The question is it a step forward or is it too risky? News Channel 8's Nicole Rogers joins us now live in front of City Hall, where a meeting just wrapped up. Nicole, some of these changes are a relief for residents, but others are generating some concern.
Paula, here's the thing. There's a new permit application that could get some of these people back into their homes. Great news. But there's also some changes to the FEMA packet that city leaders say could be a new risk for homeowners.
We've lost everything. Animals, houses, friends, family.
Cindy B demanding change outside of St. Pete Beach City Hall Tuesday, holding a sign saying, how much longer do you want to hold back progress?
Very angry. Losing everything. Literally in 3 weeks into December, I and my mother will have no place to live. Okay, because we don't have a dime coming in.
Her and dozens of others tell 8 on Your Side they feel like they're being held hostage from fixing their homes. Since October 1st, St. Pete Beach city leaders have received 1,048 permit requests for residential and commercial work, and that number is growing daily. And just over 100 permits have been issued. That is why residents and business owners say they're frustrated.
It's the falling on deaf ears in the sense that, hey, I don't have my house. This is my home and I can't rebuild it and I need your permission, and I'm not getting your permission in the fashion that I want, whether right, wrong, or indifferent.
Stop the bias! Start progress!
So dozens of people marched to City Hall Thursday to give council a piece of their mind.
I mean, it's everyone, whether you're workers, you own a business, a home, or whatever.
This is the fifth time I've said this.
In a heated meeting, Director of Community Development Denise Sanderson noted some changes on the way, like a new FEMA packet going live Thursday, which removes the 10% contingency. Sanderson says, in layman's terms, if someone miscalculates their estimate, any wiggle room is gone, and that could have serious consequences.
It's really removing any cushion that an owner would have. So there is risk that an owner, builder, or a contractor through change orders could indeed exceed a 50% calculation, and any investments made into that home or business, if you will, would be subject to demolition, lifting, or otherwise if not carefully managed by the owner, builder, or contractor.
The main concern that we heard over and over and over again is these people just want to go home. Here's the good news tonight. There is a new permit application that just went live today, and that's a same-day permit. So if you come
Good, good, good. They're finally going to give you maybe a permit. Maybe. Okay? These people, we need to stop, it just being children and allowing government officials be mommy and daddy and tell us what we can do and what we can't do, and constantly having to ask permission to do things on your own property, on your own land. Right? Don't you think? So, Western North Carolina, very cold. Listen to this.
All these groups are coming down here, and it's a nice thought, and they're building these tiny homes that don't have to be inspected. So it's a shed with an outlet.
They do have to be inspected. We're finding that out. And in fact, we had a person to donate 100 of them down in Barnardsville, and we got 25 of them put up, for people to live in, and which was better than the dirt.
Well, of course.
And so they were living in them, and the county comes in and says they won't pass inspection. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So we got 75 of them sitting down there that won't, that we can't do nothing with.
And we know I know like volunteers that have been coming in like every other week, every weekend, things like that are coming back, and they're bringing all this material, all these tools. They've got like already kits pretty much cut out.
Yeah.
To just put them together real quick, and I'm like, I've tried to tell them like people are not going to be able to live in these, and it's like maybe one person could live in there.
Yeah.
That, and all these groups are coming down here, and it's a nice.
Okay, so there are 75 tiny homes just sitting there, and they can't, allow people to live in them because they all have to be inspected. Is this not outrageous? It is outrageous. This is when I think, wow, if Americans could just unite, take back our power, stop listening to these, don't even engage with them anymore. Stop paying taxes for sure. Because they are literally destroying lives and creating a tremendous amount of suffering for people. So instead of living in these tiny homes, you have people in tents, temperatures dropping. Okay, here's a group in Western North Carolina helping with campers and tiny homes. Will government officials come around to this area and say, sorry, they need permits, they need inspections?
As the cold weather sets in and snow is expected to fall on Thursday in our mountain communities, many continue to be fearful after losing their homes to Helene. But now there are the power of strangers helping out, giving them a warm place to sleep.
After the storm, this was my home.
A blue tent pitched in the middle of a flooded warehouse.
This is where I lived.
These are the things
the dampness and all.
Larry Boyd was happy with.
At this point, when you have nothing, you're happy with anything.
Weeks before, Boyd and everything he owned swept away by the floodwaters of Helene, leaving him housed by a few poles and a thin mesh tarp, but safe.
This was home.
Happy and fortunate.
I was sitting down here at a little restaurant in my car, and a peck on the window, and this fellow says, "Are you Larry?" And he says, "The people up here, First Baptist Church, have sent us down here because you need help."
A small exchange of words
means a whole lot when there's nothing.
Changing a life.
That is like a big box of happiness.
It's in these moments that Boyd learns happiness is relative.
Can I show you inside?
Pulling open the doors of his very own camper with excitement. Donated.
And turn some lights on. As you look around, you can tell it's already had one night of me sleeping in it.
His life, slowly and surely,
It's starting to come together,
rebuilding.
and I'm happy as I can be.
It's a feeling that pulls at Boyd.
We had to deal with death. We had to deal with pain. But everywhere you turned, it was love.
All made possible by the community he calls home.
And they were just happy to be doing it. I was happy that they were doing it.
Pure joy.
There are so many organizations across our mountain communities and the country working to connect people to those life-saving resources. That information is on WCNC.com or inside our mobile.
When I hear people talk like that, especially, mainstream media, then a whole lot of people will just sit back and say, oh, okay, good. They're getting helped. A whole lot are not. A whole lot are not. They still need more boots on the ground and hands and donations. And so do an awful lot of people. Just want to prepare you. When I first saw this, I thought Kissinger died. He did. His final warning in a book that's just now being published. Prepare now for superhuman people to control Earth. Humanity must begin preparations to no longer be in charge of Earth because of artificial intelligence. The rise of AI creating superhuman people. Be very careful. He gave a warning that AI tools have already started outpacing human capabilities, so people might need to consider biologically engineering themselves to ensure they are not rendered inferior or wiped out by advanced machines. I saw this video on Twitter and I was like, oh, come on. This has to be like a joke, or somebody just, it was a robot that cost like $30,000 in somebody's home. Someone, famous, but I don't know. I'm not into all of the famous celebrities. But the robot was destroying his very large TV, and he kept screaming at the robot to stop, punching his TV, and the robot wouldn't listen. So what is going on with these robots? Well, maybe these robots that are thinking about taking over all control on planet Earth, they need to go to confession with AI Jesus.
Miraculous technology. Meet AI Jesus. Peter's Chapel is a new pioneer of artificial intelligence in the confessional of all places. Instead of a priest, penitents are greeted by cables, computers, and tech worth several thousands of euros. And on the other side, Jesus' likeness appears on screen, dispensing words of comfort, joy, and faith.
Do not disclose personal information under any circumstances. Use this service at your own risk. Press the button if you accept.
It sounds like Jesus. Nobody knows what Jesus sounds like. Anyway.
Sure, why not? Until now, Jesus has appeared only in the form of devotional objects, silent and rigid, but an ever-ready sounding board for prayer and contemplation. But now, he speaks, at the touch of a button and scripturally sound. So, tell it to us straight. Why aren't women allowed to become priests?
The scriptures teach that certain roles are defined within the church. Each role and task has its place in God's plan. How can you promote peace and harmony in your life?
AI Jesus tends to answer with more questions, but he's still inspirational.
He was able to reaffirm me in my ways of going about things. And he helped me with questions I had, like how I can help other people to understand him better and come closer to him. I was surprised. It was so easy. And though it's a machine, it gave me so much advice. Also, from a Christian point of view, I felt taken care of, and I walked out really consoled.
The digital revolution comes to religion. But why Lucerne exactly? People tend to associate the Swiss city with its picturesque location, nestled between lakes and mountains. Hundreds of thousands of tourists come here annually to see the historical buildings. But Lucerne looks to the future, too. Its university is a magnet for computer scientists. This is where AI Jesus was conceived, with the blessing of Marco Schmid, the tech-savvy theologian of Peter's Chapel.
What we're doing here is an experiment. We wanted to launch the discussion by letting people have a very concrete experience with AI. That way, we have a foundation for talking about it and discussing it with one another.
Any of you a little like, I don't want this world? I really don't want this world. Wow. All righty. So, yeah, AI Jesus. It's all very exhausting. These are not good changes. They're not good changes. I don't think I can do that right now. I can't do that right now. But I can do this right now. And, I don't know if they're still out there, those people who claim nobody can destroy anybody's life. You have to allow that destruction. It's your fault for just allowing them to destroy your life, as if they don't even recognize external forces that are happening in people's lives that they have no control over. And, oh God, did I get so many comments like that in my early years on social media. There are so many people's lives being destroyed by other people. We certainly see our government filled with people doing just that. Local government doing just that. School boards doing just that. Oh, it's all over the place. People's lives are being destroyed. What needs to happen? In every community, when you see somebody being attacked, you need to stand up. You need to stand up and stand with them and fight with them. I don't see a lot of that happening. I'd like to.
I think this is the best for our children. We need new members to replace you four.
I have never in my life been arrested, and I'm 73 years old.
I am going to play this out, and because we can't do this, okay? We can't allow people to be destroyed by other people just because, they're in positions of power and they want something that has been voted on and they don't get to have it. So then they start attacking people. We're seeing this more and more. But people who do this, attack other people, they do it because they know they can get away with it. People need to be afraid to take the kind of actions that you're about to hear in this video. They need to be afraid, but they're not anymore, because we don't stand up and hold the people accountable who do atrocious, immoral behaviors that decades ago, yeah, people might have thought it, but yeah, I'm going to get too shamed in my own community. Now they don't give a shit. So yeah. And to do this, to these people in this video, the elderly who have never even had a parking ticket, come on, man. Or a speeding ticket, I don't know. I can't stand seeing this kind of stuff.
We need new members to replace you 4.
I have never in my life been arrested, and I'm 73 years old. I've never had a speeding ticket.
Charged with revealing grand jury evidence.
They didn't handcuff me. They shackled me.
And I saw Dawn standing there. I'm assuming it was like a holding cell.
I was hoping she was coming to get me out of jail, but then I saw the handcuffs on her and all, and
he looked at me, and I held my hands up with the cuffs, and Don's face just fell.
this is going to be the end of this newspaper career right here, because in a small town, you don't get arrested and stay in a public job.
Sherry Digman, Ashley Four, Cindy Jackson, and Don Fletcher never imagined that they would end up in jail in Lower Alabama. How the Atmore 4 got there is a winding tale that should concern every American. Sherry Digman is a pillar of the community in Escambia County, Alabama.
I've been reporting in Atmore for almost 35 years. Had covered schools for so many years and had been in and out of the schools, had interacted with teachers and principals.
Sherry and the other board members were unhappy with the way that school superintendent Michelle McClung treated people in the district.
Now, I know every superintendent likes to have their own people in place, and I understand that. But she was pushing out people who have served for decades and have served well. Teachers would get in touch with me and say, don't mention my name, but this is going on, but we're so afraid of retaliation.
Superintendent Michelle McClung made powerful friends in Escambia County, like District Attorney Stephen Billy and Sheriff Heath Jackson. Both men used the weight of their offices to support her. In August 2023, McClung's allies called a surprise vote to renew her contract. Although the board wasn't set to consider her contract for another 6 months, they were voting to give her a 4-year contract extension for an unspecified amount of money. The vote failed 4-3.
And we're up now to action items. Item number 6, action items, to discuss the superintendent's evaluations and next steps. It is a wise decision on the part of this board to move to the next steps.
Well, Chairman, I make a motion to renew the employment contract with Superintendent Michelle McClung.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm not.
No. No. With a vote of 4-3, it has been motioned that we will not today renew the superintendent's contract.
Of the 14 years that I've been on the school board, we have never renewed a contract for the superintendent that early as what she wanted.
After the first vote failed, the sheriff and the district attorney began a loud public campaign to support McClung, threatening anyone who stood in her way. Meanwhile, they started a bogus investigation behind the scenes. Billy subpoenaed the board for records, and Sheriff Jackson served the papers on payroll supervisor Ashley Four.
I said, yes, sir. Sheriff, what can I do for you? And he said, well, I've got a subpoena. There was nothing on the subpoena that led me to believe that it was top secret or confidential. The only person that I shared that subpoena with at that time was Miss Richardson, my CSFO, who was also named on said subpoena.
Richardson, the school's chief financial officer, then sent the subpoena to Cindy, who shared it with other board members.
I did not know that it was confidential. It did not say anything on there. It was confidential when the CFO sent it to me.
When the board considered McClung's contract again, Billy stood up and warned that opposing McClung was against the law.
At this time, we're going to have our hardworking district attorney, Mr. Steve Billy, to come and share comments with us at this time.
Okay. Like people in communities have been hearing things from board members that things about Ms. McClung, the things that she had done, that she was going to be indicted by a grand jury. I don't control much, but I do control a grand jury of this county. And I can tell you, this lady right here is not going to be brought before a grand jury because there's nothing to bring before a grand jury. I stated that your oath of office you took. Did you take that lightly? If you look under Alabama Code 16.1-41.1, look at your duties as a board member. Look at that. That's what you took an oath of office to uphold.
I make a motion to renew the employment contract with Superintendent Michelle McClung. For the first time in 12 years, I'm ashamed of being on this board. And I'm ashamed of the members who voted no, because they, as Mr. Billy said, gave their oath to do the best for the children.
I just couldn't understand what all this was about and why he was doing that when, you know, he's never been before and now he's wanting to tell us what to do.
Regardless of how everybody else was going to vote, I was going to vote no to extend or renew the contract. I just felt that strongly about it.
No one changed their vote, so Billy and Sheriff Jackson retaliated. Deputies then seized Cindy and Sherry's phones, prompting Don Fletcher to write a story for Atmore News. That story revealed the DA's subpoena.
The story that we wrote in that same issue about the BOE investigations and all, that was all routine to me until Steve Billy let it hit a sore spot on him.
Billy's subpoena was a trap. In response to Don's story, he charged the Atmore Four with revealing grand jury secrets. But there was no grand jury.
So we published it and then went to jail because of it.
According to the court documents, Four is accused of providing grand jury investigation information to members of the media. Fletcher's accused of printing an article containing grand jury investigation information. Well, it's still unclear what the accusations are against Digman, but according to jail records, she's facing the same charge as Four and Fletcher.
Billy kept up his harassment of Sherry for the next 4 months, trying to force her out of office.
After the first arrest, Steve Billy had me arrested a second time for ethics violation, and there was also a prayer for impeachment from office. He had me arrested a third time for bond reduction, which I did not ask for and did not know he was doing.
Just 1 week after Sherry's third arrest, Billy suddenly withdrew from the cases. He finally admitted to the court that he had both personal and professional conflicts that should have kept him from filing the charges in the first place. The state attorney general took over and quickly dropped all the charges. But for the Atmore Four, the damage was done.
I had to borrow $6,000, $1,000 to pay 10% to the bonding agency and $5,000 for the retainer for the attorney.
So it's cost us quite a bit monetarily. And then what I can say about what it has done to me, my husband, my children, there are no price tags for what it has cost us. I had to ask permission to go take care of my father. I had to ask permission to go outside the state of Alabama. We had already started the paperwork to ask permission to go watch my son, who is serving this country, graduate from basic training when the case was dismissed.
During that time, I was not able to eat. I threw up. I couldn't sleep. I had anxiety. They called me in some medicine, and to this day, I'm still on it.
The DA and sheriff haven't faced any consequences for retaliating against the Atmore 4. That's why IJ is suing. The First Amendment ensures that government officials can't use their authority to punish people who disagree with them.
What I hope to accomplish with this lawsuit is to get some of my dignity back. The truth is going to come out.
And that's been a real realization for a lot of people. They can do this to anybody. They can come and arrest you, and they will if they feel like they have cause. I hope the lawsuit makes people realize that you do have recourse, that there is somebody out there who is willing to come in and stand beside us and realize that this was wrong. Even in a small town in a small county, it's just wrong.
Well, I would say so. Okay, they didn't vote the way the powers that be in this small town wanted them to vote, so they retaliated against them. How fabulous, right? How friggin' fabulous. How do people do this to other people? That's something that I just will never understand. I really, so this is why I've said communities have to come out. And when you don't have that kind of support, it literally can destroy people's lives, destroy their reputation. You know, at this age, this is what these people have to face. By the way, Institute for Justice. I've been a subscriber for years. I've recommended the channel previously. I'm recommending it again. They do good work. But this happens to an awful lot of people all over the country. This should not happen. It should not happen to anyone. And we have to face the fact, the truth, that no, I'm sorry. We have a tremendous amount of evil going on, and it's not just federal government, not just our representatives. That's bizarre. Our representatives, oxymoron. Okay, so small towns, law enforcement, you just have people who are so power hungry and they have an agenda. And if you don't follow their agenda, then they attack you, want to destroy you. So if we're a good people, we don't allow this to happen. I hate it. I hate it. So when you know somebody is getting attacked in your community and it's an injustice, stand up with them, for them, fight with them. live honestly and speak honestly. Establish yourself as a trustworthy human being. Help those in your community, the animal shelters, the food banks. Remember others when you're shopping. And again, I'm going to say, think about all of the fellow Americans that are in great need. So, for Christmas, how about it? You know, get together with your family, make a plan, instead of giving one another presents that, yeah, you don't need. How about organizing something with your family or those that you're going to celebrate with to help those in need? Because I will tell you, there are people in every community now that are in need, but you see what's happening to an awful lot of people displaced, okay? Even for Thanksgiving, you know, you can help others. That's what AI Jesus wants. Thank you for showing up. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Be safe. And let me just take a quick look at radar once again. This thing is looking very weird. Still have the frequencies still held in place. In Northern California. Yeah, be safe, guys. And be well, man. It's hard. All righty. Good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.